So I did reach 100,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your support. I'm very appreciative. I did not expect that to happen at all. And I definitely didn't expect it to happen over the weekend, of course, when I didn't have any live shows or anything like that. So I want to take you to a little bit of a journey of Sabby Sabs podcast, how this all started and to where we are now. So I do want to tell you very beginning, this show, I used to do more like video essays in the beginning. So I did things about, I talked about like grad school and there were issues during the pandemic that I talked about as well, et cetera, et cetera. But eventually things kind of went into the direction that I wanted them to go into. So, all right, guys, Sabby Sabs podcast through the years. Here we go.
Is college really worth it?
No, it's not. I'll answer that question now. That was 3 years ago. I'll answer that question now. No.
Dude, people are leaving the city in droves.
So I have Maine Beer Company, and the name of this beer is called Lunch, and it's an IPA. This is actually one of my favorite IPAs that they make. They also have another one that goes with this called Dinner. Hi, Brittany, and welcome.
Hey cousin. That's what I usually call my subscribers. I call them cousins.
Rest in peace to Brittany. Brittany passed away last year.
You know, the YouTubers, they always have a name for their people.
Do you feel that maybe the progressive movement has lost the Black community? What's your opinion on that?
I don't think really that the progressive movement has lost the Black community. I think what's happening is that the progressive movement is changing.
So that was my last time working for Amazon right then and there. I told them, you know, we should close this building down. They looked at me like, no, build business as usual. We don't want to cause any panic. So that's when I started to organize the workers. I left the building around 12 o'clock that day.
Can you explain to everybody, like, why do you feel that this is needed, that we need to defund the police and eventually get to the point where we don't really need police?
There's Nick. There's my comrade, Nick. That's my comrade, Nick from RBN. This is back in the day, man. That's back when Nick used to wear the headset.
Very, very interesting to me that you have an entire liberal class that we actually dragged them over the last few decades to the left, where they acknowledged that the drug war was a failure. So they know the drug war is a failure and they want to legalize marijuana in the drug war, at least the voters, not the people in power. That's what I'm referring to. So they know the drug war is a scam. They know it's racist. Now, this is why I tell people, you can't be against ending the drug war while opposing defund the police.
How would you describe the political climate in Ohio post-Trump?
There might be a slight shift in major cities, Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati. And it's not even more of a shift to like a more Democratic position. It's just that more Democrats got active in 2020 and actually went out and voted because they had like the fear of Trump. Ohio is definitely not turning blue. It has been on a redward slide for a long time. A lot of that has to do with NAFTA.
Simone Sanders is hurt that she didn't get the press secretary job with Biden. I have my opinion on that, how I feel about it. I understand where she's coming from, but I don't feel sorry for Simone, and I'm going to tell you why. Keyword there is equal, right? Because that's different from what he said a couple of days ago. Biden said that Israel has a right to defend itself. A couple days ago, Biden said that he would stand by Israel. A couple days ago.
Oh, what is that? For the people who said, I knew it. For the people who said some of us just started talking about Israel and Palestine after October 7th. I told you guys I was talking about this years ago. This video is 3 years old. So this is before I did live streams. I told you.
Now he's saying that he wants to ensure equal treatment for Israel and for Palestine. But if he wanted to ensure equal treatment, then why is the US government still supporting Israel? The Biden administration, this is just recently, they just approved 735 million weapon sale to Israel. They just approved that. That doesn't really go along with what he just said this morning. Trump could very much win again in 2024. Let's look at some numbers. For the 2016 election, Donald Trump had 62 million or over 62 million popular votes. Hillary Clinton had over 65 million. But Trump had over 62 million popular votes. Hold on to that number. Here are the 2020 popular vote election results. Joe Biden received over 81 million votes, but Donald Trump received over 74 million votes. He received more votes in the 2020 election than he did in the 2016 election. Let's think about all the things that had already happened under Trump. He had already made the comment about the S-hole countries. This was after COVID had started. This was after the economy tanked. And this was after the George Floyd protest. And he still was able to get more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016.
Uh-oh. Could that be a possible prediction?
What has been your experience as a Black leftist commentator in this space?
Very similar to experiences being a Black person in a white corporate world, right? Unfortunately, when I was coming of age, if you will, in this space, you would get help you would think people were trying to help you. Instead, they were trying to control you or use you. Other Black people, by the way, because you get the crab in the bucket mentality, because there's only, at least perceptually back then, there's only so many spots for a Black guy in this space.
Can the economy tank again? The answer is an absolute 100% yes, absolutely. Look, this capitalist economy tanks every 4 to 7 years. It's been doing that for 300 years. So it's not a question of whether it'll tank. It's really only a question of when exactly.
Damn, it's been a hot minute. I need to get Professor Wolf back on here. This was years ago.
On average, capitalism tanks every 4 to 7 years. In every country where it's become the dominant system, that's what it does.
Right there where we have the corporate elite, that's where mostly everybody focuses. They don't look at these levels that are above that. And that's something that I keep telling everybody. They're like, well, what should we do? Well, you're being a pessimist or you're being nihilistic. I'm telling you, if we don't deal with these people above that, no change is going to happen. Because
see, this is what I was trying to tell you guys. Everybody focuses on, like what Marcus was saying. This is Marcus from the Political Matrix. He said everyone focuses on the corporate elite. Marcus is right. A lot of people stop right there and they don't go above that. They don't look at JP Morgan. They don't look at Goldman Sachs, right? They don't go above to the central bankers or the big bankers.
These are the people who say, okay, well, they want to have what? They want to have socialism. Okay, we'll do a couple of tweaks and turns and we'll call it socialism, but we'll keep it the same way. They want communism, and this is what's literally going on all the way around the world.
The United States government does not need to get involved. I've said this before multiple times. I do not agree with the United States government interfering in other countries' conflicts. Every time we do this, it goes tremendously bad. Every time. Now, it was just a couple months ago that some people were applauding Joe Biden for withdrawing troops from Afghanistan. Now, we can argue and have a little debate over that, because I would still say there's still contractors in Afghanistan. But some people, nevertheless, were applauding Joe Biden for doing that. Here we are, just a couple of months later, and now he is threatening to send troops to Ukraine.
Well, I didn't work for RT America. I work for RT International when I submit my op-ed. So you have RT International, which is more in Europe and in Russia and whatnot. And then you have RT America, which is based out of Washington, D.C. So you had people like Lee Camp, Chris Hedges, people that had their shows there, and some of our great, hosts, television journalist hosts that were there in D.C. So they all lost their job within one day. The same day that RT America shut down, I was told that my podcast was being shelved.
And in the little few articles that are out there, they act like, RT America just decided to shut down because they lost one of their distributors. But to me, that rings completely hollow. They could have kept running for many reasons. They had other platforms. They were big online. So there's plenty of people still seeing their content. They had plenty of funding, at least for several months, if not a year. And they, had plenty of staff. Even if they needed to cut back a little to only some of the shows, they could have done that, which they did not.
Let me show you who Madeleine Albright really was. She called them disgusting Serbs.
You have people who either inherit their seat, buy their seat, or again, because they know somebody, they can get that political seat.
It's been too long that we've seen people die because they can't pay their medical bills.
So we're kind of like a mixed bag here. We don't just do one thing. And I think that's kind of how it's developed. But our arc has completely shifted to, let's work with the Democratic Party and have this inside-outside strategy to we're done with electoral politics and like the only way forward is direct action.
You know, they've spoken out about the cost of the Afghan war. Ilhan Omar has. Cori Bush has spoken out against the war state. She's connected the Black struggle in the U.S. to the Palestinian struggle. They make these statements, but what they fail to do is actually use their vote when the chips are down.
I think all of us have better cameras now. I think all of us have better cameras now because you look at my camera, you look at Max's camera. I think we've done better.
And the margins between the votes of the Democrats and Republicans are so close to actually twist the arm of Democratic leadership and extract concessions on the key issue of empire.
So I just started going ahead and guest hosting, which turned into more full-time hosting. And so, yeah, you know, but, and I have to say, they have never, ever, ever censored me. They have.
That didn't turn out too well. That was actually when Kim Iverson started guest hosting on Rising. And that was when Ryan Grimm was on Rising at that point, when Crystal and Sagar had just left. And at that point, she was right. Like they weren't censoring her at all. But it seemed like once management changed, the censorship changed in reference for Kim.
Never told me what I cannot say.
Or do you feel like they're just trying to go along with the group?
And so the question I would ask is, were Justice Democrats ever ours? And the answer that I come to is no, they weren't. I never had anybody start a movement with me for $20 million. I mean, it just, the kind of money that flowed through their campaigns and continues to flow through their campaigns is not something that I ever had access to. And none of the other people who went afoul of that deep state entity.
China passed the US in net worth. And I kind of feel like that is part of the reason why Joe Biden is trying to escalate tensions with China. What's your opinion about that?
I didn't know that about the net worth thing. I mean, when people say that China is surpassing the U.S. economically, I mean, technically there might be some numbers to support that, and certainly they're growing very quickly and have made some big achievements. But still, the U.S. still controls the world. I think economically, U.S. corporations have a far bigger stake in
my bangs took over my whole head. Good Jesus, good God. All you see are my bangs took over my whole head.
In controlling the world economy than everybody else. I would bet even combined.
The attachment to neoliberalism amongst my generation is largely a product of the appreciation of the symbolism of the Obama Kamala Harris phenomenon. I know a lot of Black professionals who are from my age cohort who really start to get into neoliberalism as a product of the Clinton administration.
I've watched independent journalists and commentators struggle with censorship on various platforms. I've seen them have their work deleted, sometimes work that was published years ago. I've seen journalists demonetized and deplatformed. I've seen Wikipedia pages smearing anti-war voices. And speaking of war, if you discuss Russia and Ukraine differently than mainstream media, you will also be censored or deplatformed. That's right. The same goes for Israel, Palestine, Syria, and Yemen.
Well, I happen to know one here locally pretty well who was a grassroots third-party candidate, and that was Dr. Jill Stein. And when she ran, we were guilt-tripped to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Rokana, I never brought Rokana back on the show. I never brought Rokana back on the show.
That if we didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, then Trump would win. But I still say to this day that Jill Stein was the better candidate.
Well, I supported Hillary Clinton in the general election, and I'm proud of supporting Hillary Clinton. I think that Trump was such a threat to democracy and is such a threat to democracy. Look, if Hillary Clinton had won, we would not have had Roe versus Wade overturned.
It's like the senators, like Marco Rubio and Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz, completely disingenuously voting in favor of the paid sick leave for railroad workers while knowing that the bill is going down in flames in the Senate. Why did that happen? Because the Democratic Party and the left inside the Democratic Party has created that room for them.
George Floyd, is this going to be the one? No, this ain't going to be the one. There ain't one that's going to happen because of the way because of the way the discussion is posed, right? The system has even brainwashed Black people into looking at it wrong. The institution never wants to say there's an institutional or systemic problem. The institution wants to say, so somebody in the institution beats a Black person, right? Is there an institutional problem? Nope. That was an individual officer.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to do independent journalism, whether it's writing articles, but doing more so what you do, like investigative reporting?
You have to realize that the internet is a gigantic place, right? There's at any moment, everybody has, literally millions of choices about what to pay attention to, what to consume. So you need people to pay attention to you because there's no such thing as good journalism that nobody hears. It's not like art or poetry that you can discover 300 years later and, oh, it's beautiful. Journalism has to affect the society for it to be good, which means you need to find a way to get people to pay attention.
I will always remember this advice because I asked this question to a lot of different people, but I will always remember what Glenn said because Glenn had a really good point as to you can't be like everybody else. Like when I tell you guys, we don't need another this person, we don't need another that person. We don't need copycats. We need people that are going to be different. So I always remember what Glenn said is you have to bring something different to the table that other people are not doing. Otherwise, people will just see you as a copycat of somebody else. And honestly, that's not interesting. So I always remember this.
And I think the key way to get people to pay attention is to avoid becoming an expert in everything. No one can be an expert in everything.
We tried to warn people about Joe Biden. Why do you think people still, particularly Black people, why do you think Black people still showed up to vote for Joe Biden?
We love the Samantha. Oh, we we've been so good. He give us an extra ration to comb when we be doing some work. We don't work too hard, but we sure love Massa. He ain't locked the gates on the plantation. We walk off whenever we want, but we sure love staying.
All right, guys, I'm here outside of the Lincoln Memorial for the Rage Against the War Machine rally. I have my first interview. Come on, Dan. Dan Cohen is here.
It's important for all of us just to denounce the war that the U.S. is waging against Russia that imperils the entire world.
Hank Hallett, in order to make $50,000 a year, he has to teach 7 courses a semester, not just at Rutgers, but at other community colleges, and summer courses without health insurance. So this disparity, it's a replication of the kind of gig economy or a corporate structure. Most of the presidents of these universities are overcompensated fundraisers. They're judged not by the quality of the education they impart to the students, but by the money that they raise.
I mean, that's the funny thing about both Brother Biden and Sister Harris. They remember when they said, America's not a racist nation. What do you think, Vice President Harris? You went to Howard University. You got to find superb education. Do you think America? No, it's not a race. And then here come the brother from South Carolina. What's it? The big pharmacy man. Clyburn. Here come Clyburn. Well, we got some racist pockets, but it's not really a racist nation. Biggest liars conceivable.
I'm here at Workers Strike Back at the Boston launch. I'm here with Chuck from the RWU. Chuck, why did you decide to come out today?
Well, I've been involved with RW for about 3 years now. Joined on just before the pandemic, which was really something. And that, of course, happening, I think, has been a huge engine to energize the whole union movement across the country, across crafts and labor.
So this was the Boston chapter of Workers Strike Back. That was the official launch of that.
I am here with John and Gabriel Shipton. They are the father and brother of Julian Assange. Thank you so much.
God damn. I looked really thick. Yes, listen, I've been weightlifting and training for like a while, but I'm telling you, I looked really plump. I didn't realize how plump I look until I saw this video. God damn.
Much for joining me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Sabrina.
Thanks. Do you think the U.S. government will start a war with China?
I mean, all signs say yes at some point. It's hard to know when. Foreign Policy magazine basically took all of the top, especially Obama era, but really a mixture of neocons, top NATO former secretaries, and had them all submit their take on what are the lessons of the Ukraine conflict. And a huge theme in it was, well, we're learning how to fight when the time comes around Taiwan.
And it's important for us to have all those voices out there, and there are many of them in this race, principled, people-powered voices. But unless you are actually challenging power, unless you're threatening power, in the words of Frederick Douglass, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will.
I'm here with Luke. Luke, why did you decide to come out today?
I'm a part of a few of the groups here, United Against Foreign Militarism and the Marxist Students in Boston. Mainstream media is, Russia is evil, Russia is bad, Ukraine is the good guy. We need to support them. We need to keep sending them money, guns, everything.
I'm here actually around the corner from Copley Square at the Free Palestine March. So we have already started marching. Some of the speakers that you're going to hear from, there are two of the students that wrote that letter at Harvard University. They're actually going to be some of the speakers that you're going to hear from today as well as those who have lost loved ones in Palestine.
The last thing I want to do is watch another U.S. presidential election. It's frankly depressing. It's depressing me already. It didn't even start yet. So that we must end the dependence on electoral politics and go back to movement politics.
We're actually here on Malcolm X Boulevard, right outside of the Marcus Garvey Recovery Center, across the street from the O'Brien Math and Science School. So we're doing the clothing and food drive today.
This is part of the tent clinic. See, we brought gloves, alcohol prep pads, Benadryl, can't sleep on the Benadryl, feminine hygiene products here, ointments, cotton balls, for all that jazz. We come into the tent. There's a lot of stuff. We still have to unbox some things, but shampoo. Shout out to Sergio for sending all this, by the way. Beans, peanut butters. We have more in the box. Like, there's a lot. And then clothes start over here. As you can see, there's still clothes underneath. I'm here in Copley Square once again in Boston, Massachusetts for the All Out for Gaza rally in Palestine. So a lot of people here, as just like it was last time, but I feel like it might be more people here this time around. I think also this time the turnout is much larger because it is on the weekend. The last protest was on a weeknight, although there were still a couple thousand that came to that one, but this one is definitely much bigger.
Why again are we giving more money to Ukraine when it's very clear to those of us that have been paying attention that this war with Ukraine is already over?
Well, the fact of the matter is, we never expected Ukraine to win this battle against Russia. Anybody who thought Ukraine could win this war should probably be drug tested. Although I understand that in many parts of the United States, it's legal to consume drugs. But you shouldn't make foreign policy decisions while under the influence of drugs. But it's never been the objective of the United States for Ukraine to beat Russia.
Thank you guys so much. Really, thank you guys so much. Yeah, it's been a journey, and I think somebody is here. Someone came in to surprise me. JB!
Congratulations. Oh my, I told you I'm going to turn out. I told you I was going to turn out. But when you hit 100K, I'm literally like this. I'm just like, yeah, here we go. Look. I gotta say, I want to say this, and I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I did not plan to say this, but I wanted to say it. 1, congratulations. 2, thank you for being such a wonderful, prolific, and prodigious teacher to all of us, because you have helped me to grow better, not as just an interviewer, as a commentator. You've helped me to grow as a person. You have been the sister that I've always wanted in this space. And so I just want to say a huge thank you to you, and I love you. And I think the world of you, and I could not be any more proud to be in community with you, my sister.
Oh, JB, that's so sweet. I love you too, JB. You're like my brother.
Yeah.
That means a lot. That means a lot to me. Oh, JB, thank you so much. I know you're a busy person. I know you had a lot going on. Man, that was a wild ride, man. That was a wild ride.
3 years. And so I didn't want to take too much time because I know you're busy and I know you have to get going. But look, you're doing the damn thing. I cannot wait to see you hit 1 million. You know, if I'm turning out now, oh, we're going to turn out even more when you hit 1 million. So, and I can't wait for it to happen.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Yeah, I gotta play the music. I gotta at least do this.
Hey!
Oh, I don't know how to stop.
Yes!
All right, JB. Yeah.
All right. Sabs, have a great night. And look, love you. And you are doing big things. And of course, again, I am so super proud of you.
Oh, thank you, JB.